Have you ever imagined a country that was born, endured, and instead of collapsing, actually chose to join something bigger? Texas was once an independent republic for nearly a decade before deciding to become a part of the United States. And maybe that's exactly why the Lone Star State grew up with a spirit that refuses to be tamed. It's bold, it's loud, and it's full of flavor. From rodeos and country music echoing across the open plains to the smoky scent of barbecue drifting from roadside kitchens, Texas isn't just a state, it's a living character, dusty, loud, and never out of style. A vast stretch of land as far as the eye can see, open prairies, blazing deserts, pine forests, and warm southern coastline. All of this exists in one place called Texas. Located in the southern region of the United States, Texas is the second largest state after Alaska, covering about 695.62 square kilometers, large enough to fit countries like France and Germany inside its borders. The population of Texas also rivals that of many smaller nations, with more than 30 million people calling it home. This makes it one of the most heavily populated hubs in the United States. Because of its distinct character and rich history, Texas earned the nickname the Lone Star State, a nod to Zit's single-star flag, a powerful symbol of the state's deeply rooted spirit of independence. Texas wasn't land that was instantly part of the United States, nor was it territory purchased with money or conquered through war and force. Texas was once ruled by Spain, then Mexico, and in 1836, it declared itself the Republic of Texas, an independent nation that lasted nearly a full decade. The story didn't end there. In 1845, Texas officially joined the United States as the 28th state, but its spirit as a former republic never really faded away. Even today, many Texans still proudly call themselves Texan, with a sense of pride nearly equal to calling themselves American. And from time to time, you'll still hear chants of Texit echoing in some parts of the state. So, what exactly makes Texas stand out so much from the rest of the country? Plenty of things. From the cowboy and rodeo culture that's still alive and kicking, to a deep love for country music, blues, and Tejano that plays everywhere, from small roadside stages to massive concert halls. Texas is also home to a wild variety of climates, from dry deserts in the west and subtropical rain in the east, to tropical storms hitting the southern coast. This diverse geography shapes a way of life that ranges from cattle ranching and cotton farming to cutting-edge tech innovation. Economically, Texas is undeniably a powerhouse. It's a major center for the oil and natural gas industry, but it's also grown rapidly in fields like technology, education, and entertainment. In the state capital of Austin, for example, there's Silicon Hills, a region that houses many of the country's top tech companies. This blend of deep-rooted tradition and modern progress makes Texas not just a large state, but one that's dynamic, complex, and always evolving. Texas's rich complexity is especially reflected in the unique character of its major cities. Each one has its own voice, vibe, and story to tell. Let's begin with Austin, the state's capital. But don't be fooled by its official title. Austin is anything but formal. In fact, the city thrives on its laid-back, quirky charm that becomes clear the moment you set foot in it. Known as a center of creativity and culture, Austin is home to world-famous music festivals like South by Southwest and Austin City Limits. You'll find talented street performers, colorful murals covering city walls, and food trucks dishing out Texas-style tacos. It proudly lives by the slogan, "Keep Austin Weird," a celebration of the city's love for individuality and self-expression. Moving on to Houston, the largest city in Texas and one of the most culturally diverse in America. Often dubbed the energy capital, Houston is a major hub for the oil and gas industries. But it's far from just a business town. It has a lively, intellectual side, home to the impressive museum district, NASA's Space Center, and a global food scene that represents nearly every cuisine. Then there's Dallas, a city that blends elegance with approachability. It's often seen as Texas's financial center, filled with skyscrapers and modern architecture. But it also carries a deep past, from its Old West roots to the haunting history of the John F. Kennedy assassination at Dealey Plaza. Dallas feels like a city that works hard but knows how to unwind. Behind the sharp suits and city lights, there's a love for culture, arts, and sports. Rodeos, galleries, and weekend festivals still bring people together in a truly Texan way. Last but not least is San Antonio, a city that captures the soul of Texas history. It's home to the Alamo, the historic fort symbolizing Texas's fight for freedom. With the charming river walk and lively festivals like Fiesta San Antonio, the city offers both warmth and deep cultural pride. Much like a heaping plate of barbecue, Texas culture is bold, flavorful, and never halfway. What we saw in its cities earlier is just a glimpse into how people live here. And, of course, no conversation about Texas would be complete without diving into its most iconic tradition, yes, cowboy culture. In the place where it all began, cowboys aren't just characters from old Western movies. They're a real part of history and everyday life. Rodeos are still held regularly, featuring wide-brimmed hats, leather boots, and riders wrestling wild bulls. Even today, many ranches in rural Texas are still run with true cowboy spirit. To Texans, being a cowboy isn't about fashion, it's a legacy, a lifestyle that honors hard work, courage, and freedom. When it comes to food, Texans don't mess around either. The flavors here are rich and unforgettable. You'll find slow-smoked brisket so tender it falls apart, sweet and spicy layers of barbecue sauce, and Tex-Mex favorites like nachos, tacos, and burritos that have become staples of local identity. And don't forget about chili, the official state dish, which often becomes a source of pride and competition between towns. Texas culture is also deeply rooted in music and sports, two things that pulse through everyday life. Country music plays everywhere, from roadside bars to massive festivals, while soulful blues still echoes from quiet corners of town. Legends like Willie Nelson and Beyoncé were born right here, their sounds shaped by the Texas spirit. On the flip side, sports are a big part of the Texas lifestyle. American football, especially the Friday Night Lights tradition, is nearly a sacred ritual at the high school level. Stadiums pack out just to see student teams go head-to-head. Whether it's on the field, on a music stage, or inside a rodeo arena, life in Texas is always lively, full of energy, and beating with a rhythm all its own. One big reason so many people are choosing to move to Texas is because the cost of living tends to be more affordable compared to other large states like California or New York. According to Centex, the average cost of living in Texas is around $45,114 per year, or about $3,760 per month. That includes housing and utilities, food and beverages, and healthcare, coming in at roughly 8% lower than the national average. Home prices in cities like San Antonio and Houston are still considered reasonable, and everyday needs, from groceries to transportation, won't put too much strain on your wallet. Texas is also well known for not having a state income tax. That means your paycheck goes a lot further compared to states that do tax income. This is a huge advantage, especially for those working in the private sector or running their own business. Looking at the big picture, Texas has one of the fastest growing economies in the United States. In fact, some reports say its growth rate is even outpacing China. Job opportunities are available across a wide range of industries, from energy and tech in cities like Houston and Austin, to education, healthcare, and manufacturing in areas around Dallas. Even the creative and entertainment sectors are booming, especially in cities with active, younger communities. With a combination of relatively friendly living costs, a dynamic economy, and tax advantages, Texas stands out as not just a good place to live, but also a solid place to build your future. That said, there are still a few things to consider, like the climate, transportation systems, and certain social or political issues that can get heated in parts of the state. Yes, Texas certainly offers a lot of exciting things, but that doesn't mean life here is always smooth sailing. One of the biggest challenges people face is the extreme weather. Summer temperatures can soar above 40 degrees Celsius, and it's not just dry heat. Sometimes it comes with intense humidity that makes it feel even more suffocating. Thunderstorms and tornadoes are fairly common, especially in the northern and eastern parts of the state. And back in 2021, Texas was hit by a severe winter storm that caused major disruptions. Another issue is transportation. Because of how massive the state is and how spread out the cities are, getting from place to place can take a lot of time. Public transit is still pretty limited, even in larger cities, so owning a personal vehicle is almost a must. The result? Traffic jams during rush hour, especially in cities like Dallas and Houston, can get frustrating fast. And if you're planning to travel between cities, you'll likely be driving for hours on highways that seem to stretch on forever. Then there's something that really shouldn't be overlooked. Texas is a state full of energy, but also full of strong opinions, especially when it comes to social and political issues. Gun ownership is widespread and still a hot-button topic, especially after a number of high-profile mass shootings shook the public. Homelessness remains a major problem in the big cities, and immigration near the southern border continues to fuel heated debates. If you've followed American politics for a while, you probably already know this. Texas has a political identity all its own. While it's often seen as conservative, its major cities like Austin and Houston lean more liberal. This contrast can sometimes cause tension, but it also shows just how complex and diverse Texas really is. So, what do you think about this state? What can you take away from everything we've covered? It's not easy to define, but one thing's clear. Texas isn't just about wide open land and legendary cowboys. It's about a lifestyle that's bold, full of opportunity, and packed with challenges. From its music to its food, its culture to its controversies, it all comes together into one truly unique experience. So, are you ready to see what life is really like in the Lone Star State?